Hi, and welcome to Meanwhile in Andorra, the podcast where two guys talk about football, nonsense, and everything else in between. I'm Travis Newton, and my co-host is
Ricky McGowan.
And today we are joined with, so it's not going to be two guys talking about football nonsense and everything else in between. It's actually, we have a third, a good friend of mine who we met a while ago online, and we share a love for the World Cup. And I always say he's probably the one person in this world that remembers and knows more about the World Cup than me. And I hope that Ricky's probably thinking that's impossible. But we have Carlos. We're joined by Carlos. How are you doing, Carlos?
Hi. Fine. Thank you for the invitation. And eager to talk about football.
Great stuff.
Definitely in the right place.
Yeah, you're in the right place. Yeah, it might veer off. That's the thing. I hope and I trust that you've heard other episodes we've done. But we do kind of tend to talk football, but other bits that in between as well. And we on the subject of football and other bits in between, we'd probably best to start off talking about AFCON. Did you get to watch AFCON in Germany, Carlos?
I don't know, but I was following the news mainly. I was following the news and trying to check the highlights, but to be honest, just from the semifinals. But I was checking the news, how it was developing the tournament. I was hoping Morocco didn't advance, because one of my tips is that all the people think that Morocco will make it very far in the World Cup. I think the contrary. I say that Scotland will qualify against Morocco for the very first time to the knockout stage. That's my tip.
I was gonna say,
because we talked with Travis before. It is like incredible how Scotland managed to fail to qualify to knockout rounds in the Euros or in the World Cup. But when I saw that group, I was rooting for Scotland against Denmark. Yeah, I saw that game, was fantastic. Somehow I watched the whole second half. Was amazing, I think. And now I saw the lottery, and I think Morocco, they are like too confident, say it like that they will make it further. So I think it will. They can qualify because they play against IT. Yeah, so it's like they will win. But I think if they qualify third, and they don't make two.
Interesting.
World Cup Fever TV has just earned 1 million more fans from Scotland overnight. Like, there you go. They've got it.
I'll go to work and promote you tomorrow.
I am fan from Alistair McAllister. The name of the guy? Alistair McAllister. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing,
McAllister.
A journalist, yeah.
It's really a journalist. I thought he was a comedian. So he's really a comedian, right? But okay.
And how was AFCON reported there then? So was it interesting? Was you getting was it more the scores, the progress? Did you get any of the controversies or the sort of things that elsewhere were reported on AFCON, and sort of any controversies with the behaviours and stuff?
So I watch it mainly through Instagram, not through German media, right? And what came to me was from the final is like the highlight was the second goalkeeper of Senegal trying to keep safe that towel from Edouard Mendy, right? How. And like in South America, you can see wild things, especially in the qualifiers, but we are very far from what it really happened in the AFCON. And really, the qualifiers can be really wild in South America, but not Copa America. It's like Copa America is not as important as the qualifiers for us. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's like I cannot compare. We reached the final 19. And of course, I was especially happy because we beat Chile in the semifinals. Yeah. But you cannot. It's like that was here, and the qualification to the World Cup 2011 was 10 times more exciting. 100 times more exciting.
Oh, right.
So it's. And then you see why things in the qualifiers, but not at that level. Not at that level that you saw really the ball boys trying to... It was incredible. I could not believe it. And that made more strong my point. I don't want... I say Scotland will qualify against Morocco.
And for anybody that's not sure as well, just to let them know, or doesn't have video on. Carlos is Peruvian, which is when he talks about he's talking about Peru. It's making the Copa America finals in 2019. And did they win it twice in the 70s? Did they win it in the 70s?
We won it in 75 and we won it in 1939.
There you go. See, look.
In the prehistory.
My knowledge doesn't just extend to the World Cup, guys. Do know a bit of Copa America as well. I know a little bit, but yeah. And on the AFCON, on the subject of Morocco, I think both Ricky and I wrongly said that Morocco were going to do well, didn't we, Ricky? We were absolutely wrong on that. But interestingly, I don't know whether Ricky this applied to you, but I watched that final until all of the stuff kicked off towards the end. I actually wanted Morocco to do well because I was like, it's been such a good tournament and such a good advert for the AFCON, and it's got such bad press in the UK anyway, that I was like, I'll let them do well as a host nation. Obviously, they got to the World Cup semi-finals. So I was like, yeah, go on, Morocco. And it was only when all of that, I wrote in my notes, even my wife wanted Senegal to win. And it was only when all of that stuff kicked off that then I realised actually everyone was saying that, and I'd watched all of the games and I'd see them win penalties and stuff like that, but everyone's like, oh, they're really crooked. And obviously the stuff that happened afterwards with the coach from Senegal being booed with his daughter in the press conference and stuff, it was just, it left a bit of a sour taste, but it was a very good tournament.
It was, and I think that what you're learning to is the villainy side of it, if you like, was almost separate from the team because it wasn't directly anyone involved with the team that was being part of it in the lead up to the finals. You were very much like, oh, there's a few bad eggs trying to ruin it, but they've had a great tournament, the team have played well, let them win. And I really wanted them to win, but then as you say, as the game started to get towards the end and you're seeing actual substitutes take part in what was going on as well, like with the goalkeeper, for instance, and it's like, for a second I actually remember the thing I thought was, this is a professional footballer is having to fight a stadium official over a towel. Like, what, you'd never see that anywhere else. A professional footballer having an argument over a towel. Like, and I think that for me is what it sort of tilted it. Then you're like, oh, right, I hope this might actually not go down well if they win this now.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously the final was the whole penalty thing with Mane and coming back out, and I would say that I knew. And I'm not just saying this. I said to my wife and my son who were watching it with me, I said, Brahim Diaz is not going to score this penalty. It lasted too long. You can't sit for 20 minutes or whatever and look and watch all of this stuff happen and then take a penalty and score, I don't think, in any situation.
I got a text that I sent Travis as it was happening at 9:13, and I put, he'll miss it now. And then it was literally the next kick. Like, it's like... It was on the cards, definitely.
Have you heard this theory that it was agreed that Brahim Diaz should miss the penalty? They say they talk when the team of Senegal went to the outside of the pitch. They talk, just saying, come back, he will miss it. And I don't know if it's true or not, but they say FIFA has something to do with that. One of the signs is that Brahim Diaz shoot with the left and he's right-footed, or the other way around. And when you see, like, he's not like the other thing that they say is like he was too displeasant. Do you say it in English? That it was the penalty for the trophy. You don't shoot it like that. You can even do a panenka, but not in that way, And there is this theory, and it say, okay, now the FIFA is in debt with Morocco, something like that, because they say, okay, Senegal come back, you miss. We will see in the World Cup.
Well, Scotland have got no chance then.
I was remembering now. I saw it, but yeah. So I hope Scotland qualify. Yeah, we must not forget it's Scotland, and maybe let's see what they do against Haiti. How you say in English?
Haiti. Yeah, we say Haiti as well in English. Yeah. You probably don't pronounce the H as much.
Yeah. Just remember what happened against Costa Rica in 1990. Yeah, that was...
Yes.
No one was expecting nothing from them, and Scotland managed to lose that day, right?
Yeah. And Peru in 78, and I know Peru were good in 78, but like you've got Iran as well, that they messed it up.
But we had a difference is that we really had a good team.
Oh yeah, Peru were
Carlos,
good. That was ignorance.
Carlos is endearing himself to Scotland fans all over. He's just giving them the thing of they're going to get through, and you've already given them the excuse of FIFA. It's FIFA's fault if they don't. This is brilliant.
I mean, I saw in more than one source, I don't know where it started, but it's like when you see the fact that they are saying how he shot, he's right-footed and he shot it with the left or the other way around, I don't remember now. It's like...
But didn't he take the same penalty against the keeper for Man City? And he tried the Panenka. And he missed
I don't
it.
know.
I don't remember.
And it was like a couple of years ago, and the keeper, it was the same. I think it was the same keeper, and he made the exact. He just stood there and saved it.
Okay, I don't know that much. I know what I saw. 3-4 videos were saying exactly the same.
I have heard someone say, "Was it fixed?" But I don't know whether I've watched any videos. But yeah, it's definitely something that ran through my mind. It's sort of like the only way they'll come back out.
Even they say why Brahim, because I don't know if he was the one that, or why he accepted it, because he's the one that have credit with the Moroccan fans. It could have not have been any other. He's playing for Real Madrid. It's like he was playing well, so he's the only one that could have done that. It would have been another player.
Well, there hasn't been that widespread hate for him either, is there? Because like David Ginola never played for France again when he messed up.
He played again.
Yeah, different situation.
He managed to play some games more.
What, Ginola?
After you mean after that qualifiers against Bulgaria?
Against Bulgaria?
Yeah.
In 93.
He managed to play some games more. Not yet. So Gerard Houllier was after that game against Bulgaria. Was not a trainer anymore. Afterwards was Aimé Jacquet. And he called Ginola and Cantona for a while. Ginola, I don't know if 2-3 games more, but Ginola he play a bit more. Yeah, but
there you go. See, look,
he decided to do this generation so that already to rejuvenate the team for the '98 World Cup or somehow I don't know what the Jacket so
well, obviously. The Ginola thing, and I know we've steered very wide from AFCON, but with Ginola and Cantona, the issue that they really had was that they were older, and in '98 you've got Dugarry and Zidane coming through, haven't you? And if you look on paper, and obviously you probably wouldn't have, I don't think I knew as a child, but they're better players, and they ended up having better careers than Cantona and Ginola, so it made sense that Dugarry and Zidane played that World Cup. But at the time, it probably felt a bit like they were being snubbed because of what happened 4 years before.
You really think that Zidane, of course, had better career than Cantona, but Dugarry not, right?
At Inter. No. Yeah, definitely. I think Dugarry was I know obviously he ended up at Bolton.
Yeah, but Cantona won the Premier League with Leeds. And also, if I'm not wrong, also won the Ligue 1, the French division with Auxerre.
Yes, that's right. You're right. You're absolutely right. The thing is, though, because that was just before he went to Leeds, wasn't it? He won it with Leeds. He won it with Auxerre, came to England, won it with Leeds, and then won the next year with Man United. The thing with Cantona, and this is, we've wildly gone off topic here, but Cantona came to England, and I've had this debate with my friends before, that Cantona came to England at a time when English football was very poor. The quality wasn't very good. And he played in a position that we'd never seen before. We never had number 10s as such, or people that played behind the front man. Like, that kind of like guy that... So it completely bamboozled everybody. And apparently the only other player was that played, and this is stuff I've heard, I think it was Jonathan Wilson that said this, it might have been, the only other player that played in a similar type of vein to Cantona but wasn't as good was, remember Nigel Clough? Brian Clough's son, Nigel Clough, who played for Nottingham Forest. He played for England a few times. Not amazing. There you go. You probably don't even remember him because you wouldn't have been following English football as closely. But he played in Nottingham Forest, and Nigel Clough played in that Cantona type role and had lots of success around that time because people didn't know how to mark someone who wasn't quite playing in midfield but wasn't quite playing up front. Well, obviously Cantona was a lot better than Nigel Clough was. But I don't feel, I know he definitely achieved a lot, but I don't know whether he was as good as Dugarry. I'd argue, or Zidane.
Do you agree, Ricky?
I agree in the sense of, yeah, I think.
I mean, with the thing that was not better than Dugarry. Dugarry, it's like Cantona was better than Dugarry. Of course.
I don't know if he was better than. I don't know if he was better. He was good, but I think the teams what didn't help Cantona it was just that teams didn't know how to play against him. I think teams didn't know how to play with him as well to make the most of him. So I think that was frustrating for Cantona, and you could see that he had games where he done really well and then games where he struggled. And I think that's where the players around him. You look at that team at the time, there was a mix of older players and a mix of academy players coming through. They didn't know. They would play different football. He was new to them as well, and I think it took a while. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to get in between you guys on this one. I'm going to let you both fight it out. It's more entertaining. But we have massively veered from AFCON
from AFCON.
So is it, I saw a thing, this is the most entertaining tournament now because the World Cup is a bit glossy, it's a bit nice, Europe was a bit not great. Like, is it entertaining, AFCON? Is it the most entertaining tournament, or was it just that people are buying into the controversies more than it was?
Do you know what? I think it's and again, Carlos, I don't know whether you agree with this, but like it's a little bit like, we always talk about tournaments when we didn't know all of the players and didn't know all of the teams, and everything was a bit of a surprise. Like when you were a kid and you watched it and you hadn't seen everybody play each other every week in the Champions League or in the Premier League or or Bundesliga, whatever it is. Those were the best ones. And I think AFCON takes you back to that a little bit because like lots of the teams, like you hear of a couple of players. We don't know all of the players of the teams. I don't know all the players of the teams. I think it's an element of that. What do you think, Carlos? I know obviously you guys didn't have it as much, or you wouldn't watch it as much.
I was watching the highlights on Instagram or what appeared to me, and it's like there was too much about football, much more was about the folklore. And if you consider that is, I think it is also part of a tournament. It was amazing considering that, because I remember 2006, something like that, it was possible for me in Peru to watch African Cup. And I used to watch, not every game, but many games. And I like it. So you don't have social media, so it was mostly about football. Now it's much more about folklore. And
the stories behind it.
Stories, what happened. And even though, so for me, for the age that I am, it's like I will not be able to watch an AFCON game again. 2 hours sitting is not possible. So from that point of view, for me, it had a lot of material. Even though it always appears something, but about which new players, what was happening, I didn't got that much. Apart from the semi-finals and the final, but considering that, it got a lot of material for the content creators, right?
Definitely.
Much more, for example, I imagine Asian Cup. You will not get so much material from such a tournament like African Cup.
I think I've only ever watched one Asian Cup match ever. I was saying this to Ricky. I think it was like in the UK. So like AFCON was on our main terrestrial television channel. So we have a television channel that bought the rights to it. Whereas the Asian Cup, last time it was on some random channel on Freeview that was like it was Scandinavian, and you had to basically. Yeah, did you pay for it? I can't remember, but I tried to watch a game and then I gave up. I can't remember, but it just doesn't get the same, it doesn't get the same attention over here. So that's probably a different thing as well.
Yeah, it does. It's one of those games that don't even appear on our apps here in terms of when you look at the list of games going. In fact, we were talking about this about the qualifiers for CONCACAF as well, weren't we? One of the games didn't actually show up as listed happening. Because we were trying to keep an eye on the score. But it's one of those sort of situations.
Yeah. Result only on live score, I think.
But there's also Isn't it weird? I think we say, I think it's the unknown that keeps us interested. You learn something and everything else. But it's also been hugely beneficial from a political standpoint for reading about. We talked about it in the last episode. Dr. Congo and their fan dressed up as the old president.
Lumumba,
assassinated. Yeah, Lumumba. And now they're opening up the case again in Belgium.
Yes, I saw that.
And you think it's probably an output of that coverage that side of the tournament got.
Definitely.
That brought that to light again. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. So, you're actually seeing some cultural sort of reactions because of it. That's actually benefiting from this. So, from this coverage. So, it's been a successful tournament from a lot of point of views.
Yeah.
Even what happened at the end in the final, it benefit, if not the image, but that people next time will be much more aware.
Watching it.
Okay, what will happen this time? Yeah.
Definitely.
And if anything, it sounds like we know the next African host country will be of a World Cup. If their agreement with FIFA exists, that'll be the next country to host.
Well, look, do you know what? I think they were already kind of in line, weren't they? Because of they were kind of. I saw something where they were going to do like a joint Spain and Morocco bid or something at one point.
Morocco, Spain, yeah, and Saudi Arabia, right?
And Saudi.
No, sorry.
Saudi is next.
No, sorry. Is Spain,
Spain, Portugal, Morocco? I think you're right.
Yeah.
And then you've got Saudi Arabia is 2030. I think so. I think they've gone for it as well.
But to be honest, I will hate this World Cup. Yeah, it's Spain because. Sorry. I was expecting since many years ago. I knew it. 2030, 100 years of the FIFA World Cup. That must.
You're going to say what I said.
South America. Yeah, that
it
must
should be
be
Uruguay.
South America.
And Argentina.
Uruguay plus Argentina, yeah. Even plus Paraguay, make it like that. But the president from CONMEBOL is from Paraguay, and if you have 48 or 32 teams, even it's a lot. But I am so angry for that, because the 48 already makes me angry. In 3 countries, it changed for sure. But that what they did, that one game in South America, in these 3 countries, in Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay, is like a consolation gift or something like that. And you already with this 48 World Cup are like killing the emotion of the qualifiers. But through this World Cup, Paraguay, Argentina, and Uruguay are already qualified. If Brazil won this World Cup, you have 4 teams that are already qualified. So it's like you don't have qualifiers for this tournament, or at least not meaningful qualifiers.
The hosts don't qualify automatically anymore, do they? So they still have to go there.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. I know what you mean. It would absolutely kill it if you had, because of the fact that they've bloated the tournament to 48 teams.
I mean, I am happy that I just traveled to one World Cup, so 2014 to Brazil 2014, and it was the atmosphere was amazing. And you could feel you are in a football nation, right? In any country of South America, you could have felt that. But it will not be, at least on my time on Earth, not anymore. Yeah. So I mean,
I don't think so.
When it will come again? No, it never. So not in.
Do you know what? We should probably move on to our questions that we had for you as well. Like, just in the interest of, because we've discussed loads already on AFCON. But I think it leads quite nicely, the conversations about South Americans and going to World Cups and stuff. Yeah, Ricky and I, obviously, we shared them with you beforehand, but we come up with a set of questions that we wanted to ask you just to kind of get your thoughts on stuff. The point of this pod is for us to kind of reminisce a little bit about previous tournaments and talk to guests about what they've liked or disliked and stuff. And I think the first question I put down was, who do you think the best South American at the World Cup has been? And I said, and why is it Teofilo Cabilla?
You mean the player, right? I understood it as a team, but then since you put Cubillas, then
you can answer both. You can answer both, mate. Like we can have a little chat about that.
I mean, you know, we are Peruvians. We like Brazil and we like Argentina. And I always say the best that I saw is Maradona and the best I never saw is Pelé. Yeah, so it's like I still remember watching some games from '86. Yeah, I was 4.5 years old. But I still remember mainly because my father managed to record that on Betamax.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and after the next years, I was always watching the goals and the whole game from this Brazil-France 1986. I had it
the quarterfinal.
So it was, although I was like that, the next 2-3 years I was continuously watching the tape of that. So it's like, I consider that my first World Cup, but really the very first that I saw completely with the previous 6 months and qualifiers and everything was Italy 19. But yeah, considering that I watched '86, the best that I saw is Maradona for sure. And the best that I saw in videos, but never live, is Pelé, because it's another thing. Even if I follow also streamers that have 25, 20 years, and it's like a bit when they make comments about Maradona or some player that they didn't watch live. And when I mean live, is not only in the stadium, but this aura that you have, you were waiting at the time. You were waiting for the game 1 week. You have an important game. You were waiting and you were hearing everything what was talked before, yeah. And even if you don't remember all what happened in the game, you remember, okay, we need to take care of this player. You remember the feeling, and that's what no people that was born in 1990 and didn't, or 95 or 2000 and didn't live that, can say, okay, I watch 100 videos from Maradona and I think that he's not better than Messi. Or now they just look at the stats and make their opinion. Yeah. Therefore, I also don't know from Pelé. I saw a lot of videos. I have heard from people, when you heard the opinion from these old players, or for example Menotti, or there are a lot of reels from all South American players, trainers that talk about Pelé. Then you can get a bit of the feeling of what they generated. Yeah, because it's not only what happens in the field, but out of the field and before and after the game. Yeah. So coming back to the questions, the one that I saw, Maradona. The one I just saw in videos, Pelé for sure. Yeah.
I'm going to ask Ricky what he thinks of that, but before I get on to Ricky, one person, just on what you're talking about around like the aura and the build up and stuff. R9. I remember R9 at France 98, and there was such an aura about him, and everybody. I remember not wanting Brazil to win the final because I was a bit like, it's not fair. They've got this guy that's like just scoring, and everyone's scared of him, and they can't stop him. And I was like, it's actually not fair. So like, there's a bit of that in R9. And Ricky, what's your opinion on
it's
South Americans?
On that point, it made France look like underdogs. When you look at their squad and where it was, they were not underdogs.
With hindsight, they aren't. Yeah.
They did that Brazil team especially, and I think following on from the '94 team as well. They had this aura about them, and I think football was becoming more global accessibly in the '90s as well. So then you were more of a thing of it. I think in my view, whenever I hear the debate of Ronaldo and Messi now, I can't help but think backwards and think of, do they touch Maradona and do they touch Pelé? Because there's the argument of the balls they played with, the pitches they played on, they didn't have access to the same fitness regimes and health and advice and everything. And I just think if they had that, then they would have been
for longevity. Ronaldo played till he was 40. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pelé would have played till he was 40 if he had the technology and stuff at his disposal, right?
Yeah. And it's that I think that makes them that level above. I think we have to allow for that. We have to acknowledge that. And these weren't people who just were good players because they were scoring goals, like Carlos says. We didn't just look at their stats, but you could watch the videos now and still see they were winning games. They took each game by the scruff of the neck and were pulling their teams through. Like, they really shone. When I look at the World Cups now or big tournaments, do I really say that Messi has taken the tournament by storm the same way Maradona has? No way. And
2014 maybe.
Yeah, he had a good one, but I don't know if there's still that thing of it don't stand out for me as player of the tournament. Like he really did as well as what Maradona would have done. So,
Not Maradona level, yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I think the argument is. I think so. Yeah, if I was to say best South American player, I would probably hang back towards. In terms of my lifetime, it's R9 because I saw him and I was able to see more because I was only 2 in Italia 90. Not to brag, but for me, yeah, it'll be R9. But yeah, I can definitely see why people would say Maradona, Pele. How about you?
Interestingly, a point you raised as well about balls and stuff. If you watch Mexico '86, Maradona gets fouled so much, like tackles that would just get someone sent off straight away today.
South Korea,
and you know the England game. I always say this to people about England. Yeah. Like, yeah, he handballed the ball, yeah, right, but in the build-up to that, there's a video. You can go on YouTube and find videos of like every time he touches the ball in that England game, and he just gets brought down every time he gets it, and he just gets up. And that's what also when you look at Italia 90, by that point his ankle was really bad, isn't it? Because of the foul he did in his the Goicoechea tackle and years of just being kicked. Whereas again, Ronaldo and Messi just don't get that. They get a lot more protection, or they had a lot more protection. So you could argue that, yeah, they for me, it probably is Maradona, although R9 for me as well. Like I said, Maradona, I remember watching Maradona, and for me, my experience of Maradona was the later Maradona. So I watched obviously all of Italia 90. So like by Italia 90, he's not as fit and as influential. He's still quite influential because he gets them to the final, but not probably as you know, his peak like he was in '86. But then I get to see R9, like I see R9 in '98 and 2002.
But you remember? So I just wanted to point out something. So Maradona, without that injury in Italy 90, he would have been at his peak still, because Napoli won the 89-90 Serie A.
The
problem from Maradona in that tournament was the injury.
Yes.
And was enough, but his aura was enough to carry Argentina. Them. And he made some important stuff like that play against Brazil to assist Canilla.
Yes.
Also this hand against
the handball on the
Soviet Union. I mean, I remember, I will go to the point, but I saw a reel about, you remember Vanderlei Luxemburgo?
Yes.
The trainer, he was trainer from Real Madrid, and yes. he was telling in this reel that it was a semi-final or quarter-final against Juventus. Second game, Madrid was 1 goal ahead to qualify to the next round, and he said, he thought, okay, Ronaldo and Zidane are tired, I will take them out, and he took both out, and Juventus scored 2 goals, and they won, yeah. And he said that afterwards he asked to Zidane, "Hey Zidane, what do you think that I didn't make well? Which was my mistake?" And Zidane said, "You took me and Ronaldo out, and they were not scared anymore." Yeah, so that was true. They were tired, but they were scared because it's like they have Zidane and Ronaldo on the other side. And with Maradona, I mean, that applies to, right? He could have been injured. But if you are a defender or a player and you see Maradona there, it's like it's Maradona, you know all what he's capable. So the influence, even if he doesn't score, is like the marks that he attract to him. He generates spaces for the others. And not only that, so it's like he also gives confidence to their team players, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's much more that is not so easy to measure. And therefore I see you have to have been at that time to really know or feel how much was the influence of that player.
That player, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
And, you know, the Caniggia goal is a perfect example of that, isn't it? The players being drawn to Maradona, him going on a run, and then he plays a ball. Yeah, they forgot him completely. And like, he's got 4 defenders around him or whatever, and he plays it through, and Caniggia does on his own. Yeah, that's definitely an example of what you're talking about in terms of, you know, Maradona drawing players and causing chaos in a box, basically, with people being scared of him. Anyway, let's go on. I'll let Ricky do question number 2.
So question number 2 is, I'm just getting it up. And my excitement, I was researching. So will we see another Peru 70 style world team at a World Cup?
Not anymore. It's impossible. We have really a good chance. 2018 in Russia. I don't know if you managed to watch the game against Denmark, but in the previous to the tournament, so we beat Croatia 3-1 or 2-0, I don't remember, but playing amazing football. We also beat Iceland. We beat Croatia playing amazing football. Yeah. But Peru have its style. Is this short pass ability? I really like our style. Yeah, we stopped playing like that for a while, and then it came the trainer Gareca, and somehow we recovered it. Yeah, so that team, without having stars at their peak, because for me Paulo Guerrero and Jefferson Farfán are great, amazing players, really top of the top as from South America at the time, but they have their best moments, results with Peru when their prime was gone. Yeah.
Yes, because Farfán is a little bit, maybe he was at PSV, wasn't he?
Exactly.
And he was like the noughties more so than in like 20 or late noughties, early teens, as opposed to 2018.
At the World Cup, I think that Farfán already and Guerrero have more than, I would say, 34.
Yeah.
That's not prime anymore. Anyway, we were playing great football. Great football, not to beat Brazil or something like that, but to beat any team that was not candidate. So until the level of Croatia, that was not world champion before, something like that. And we played good against Denmark. I'm convinced we played good. We missed that penalty in the very last minute. That would have changed everything. And but we were not effective enough to score. We got some chances to tie the game afterwards. But when we lost that game, I knew, okay, it's gone. It's gone, because against France, with that pressure, you will not. Even a point with France would have not helped. I knew it. And so the problem with that team was that the best players were past their peak, and the other players were good complements. That we even managed to reach the playoff against Qatar for Qatar 4 years later, but we were too confident. So people was too confident against Australia. I was not that confident, because if I learn something from Peru, like when we think we will win, we don't win, and when no one had faith in the team, we win. It's always like that. And I feel it. Everyone was sure. Against New Zealand 4 years before was not like that. Even if New Zealand was not as good as Australia. But I don't know. All the people were thinking we were for sure to beat Australia. And
Travis thinks like that as a West Ham fan as well.
I mean, it's really happened. And I have, before that game, I have a really bad feeling. But well, that was the end. That because Guerrero and Farfán stayed some years more. Guerrero played until these qualifiers also for Peru, but we didn't have more people, and we will not. What is coming is quite below the level of that team that qualified to 2000.
You never know, because I think when I originally put the question together, I was thinking about Colombia in 2014 and Chile in 2010. You know, all it takes is a couple of good players maybe to come at the same time and a good coach. And you never know. You could have a good tournament. You know, a decent draw as well. Like if you get drawn in a group where you can maybe get out. You never know.
I see like that. You mentioned Colombia and Chile. Yeah, and the thing, at the end you have your team with 11 players. But the average player from Colombia, the average, not necessarily the one that is in the national team, is much better prepared than the Peruvian one.
Right.
The same for Ecuador. And so physically, now that is very important, how the physical part of the players. That Colombia and Ecuador are much more prepared than Chile and Peru. And Chile is much more prepared than Peru. We were lucky that these guys that were great. Guerrero, Farfan, all of them were still not at their prime, but still in a very good level when this other generation from Cueva, Flores were like Carrillo that played in the Premier League. Galese, the goalkeeper, I think probably he's the best goalkeeper we ever had. We were lucky, but you don't get. We needed to wait 30 years. You know, we qualified 82, 30. We needed to wait 32 years for that. Yeah. And at that time, when we were qualified before, Colombia was not that good, Ecuador was not that good or professional because they have much better system to develop players than us. And that's the point. It's like you really need to be lucky as in Peru, I mean. Peru, because the other teams had the structure. It's much more probably that after one generation they get a lot of players like that. I mean, if you put Peru B and C team, they have no chance against the B and C team from Colombia or Ecuador. You know my point. And then you need only 11 good ones, and we have the luck. We were lucky with that after 32 years. That will not happen anymore. We are not that tall. We have not so strong players as Ecuador or Colombia. You see that physically they can compete with the Europeans. Yeah, we not. We needed to compete in other way, not physically, but with our style. And for that you need very gifted players. We got it, but not. I don't have any hope more, to be honest.
It's interesting that you say it like that, Costa, and that you mentioned the way that Peru like to play football, have a tradition of the way they play football as well, because we spoke about it on one of the first episodes, Trav. Do you remember when we were talking about how football has changed and how that's not helping the South American teams who like to play football and play it with flair and play with passing and get it out to the wings, run at people, and how that just isn't favouring South American football at the moment because the main
physical,
football is gone away from that. It's physical, it's strong, it's going direct, it is different football. So not only are you having those challenges, but then you go deeper and you've got the other challenges that Carlos mentions with Peru, in that the development is different. Where they're playing is different, man for man. They're not as playing at maybe a higher level as they're developing, so therefore they are automatically behind the other countries.
You know what? It leads on to one of the other questions we have for Carlos, and I'll touch on this probably rather than ask it, right? So like as you say, Ricky, like football has become so physical now, and if you think Argentina were the first non-European team to win the World Cup since 2002. Like you had Germany, you had Italy, you had Spain, you had Germany, you had France, and then it took Argentina. And that wasn't a fluke, right? I think is it 2010? There was only one South American team left in the quarterfinals or something?
No, we had three. We have three. In the
in 2010 it was three. I'm talking 20...
We got 4 in the quarterfinals, but just Uruguay in the semifinals.
Yeah, that's right. In the yeah, exactly. And then if you look at 2014. You've got, is it Netherlands, Brazil, Argentina? No, 2014 is not the one. Maybe it's 2018 I'm thinking of, where I think in 2018 you have Brazil in the quarterfinals. The semi-finals are Croatia and England and France and Belgium. And in the quarterfinals is Brazil. I think it's 2018 is what I'm thinking of. I think Brazil are the only team that got from South America that
also
got to
Uruguay.
the quarterfinals.
Uruguay against France. Uruguay.
Did they? Oh yes, of course they did. And they got knocked out. Yes, because they beat Portugal in the round of 16. Yeah. But my point though, like there's a lot less than back in the day, and I think that comes from football just being a lot more physical. Like you see lots of people complaining and saying that it's not as skillful as it used to be, but it's more just about running and being able to outpower your opponents. And obviously, as you say, Carlos. Traditionally, if you come from a nation, and I know Peruvians, I don't know, generalising here, but I think typically Peruvians aren't particularly tall. They're not particularly tall people. And I was going to ask as well, actually, on this, how much does altitude play a part in the qualifiers? Because obviously Peru's a little bit higher.
No, we play in Lima. We play in the capital. We never play in altitude in the qualifiers.
Really?
Never.
Maybe you have to start doing it, mate. Do a Bolivia.
No. There is always from time to time when they have elections in the federation, they say I will make Peru play in Cusco, so where Machu Picchu is, so 3,300 meters, and we will qualify. And no one likes that idea, but from the people that live in Cusco. I remember you heard every time, from time to time, and especially I think Bolivia qualified 1994 was due to the altitude, and afterwards, so they got most of the points when they play in Bolivia.
Home. Yeah.
At home. And I think 2002 or something like that, there was this new president that said to everyone, Peru will play in Cusco, Peru will play in Cusco, was going to every channel saying that. I remember, why are you saying that? So I don't like it, but why you say your strategy to everyone? What happened? Until that time, you could choose freely for every game in which city you could play. Then CONMEBOL say that's not possible because this president say like that. I remember against Bolivia we play in Lima. Against Brazil and Argentina and Uruguay they go to the altitude. He was saying like that. And against Ecuador they have altitude too, so then we play in Lima. And then of course people complain from the other countries. And CONMEBOL say, hey, you are not allowed to play in more than one city. You just play in the city. In one city, you must choose. You can play in the altitude, but every game. Not you cannot choose. Unless you are Brazil. And therefore, Brazil was able to change like that. But it's
way.
Football is not fair. It's like, it depends on the power influence you have. But I never understood this guy, why he went to every program saying that. And at the end they changed it. Because after that, before that, you had already this group of 10 teams to qualify for the World Cup. And you were able, I can change one or other game. If there was not so important, they change. They don't play in Lima, they say, yes. Just go to another city to play that game that is not that important. After that, they prohibit that. And I think now it's not anymore prohibited. You could do that.
I don't know,
But for Peru, it doesn't make sense. You know what happened with Colombia, right? Colombia always play in Barranquilla because it's not altitude, but it's very warm. Yeah, so it have an influence, the climate.
Yeah.
Then they said, why we don't play in Bogota, that is not that high as La Paz, but 2,800, around 3,000, a bit less probably. And they started to do that for 2002. What happened? They didn't qualify 2002, they didn't qualify 2006, they didn't qualify 2010. For 2014, they came back to Barranquilla, It's like, so Colombia at that time had most of their players not playing a Colombian language. So how can you make that they get an advantage if they are not used to play that? Exactly. And after that, they play mostly in Barranquilla and then they qualify normally.
No way, I didn't know that. See, look, this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, I still remember that. I was very angry at that time because I used to go to the games of the national team and it's like, hey, why you want to take out from you the qualifiers? Yeah, and it's like that were 10 million people. Yeah.
Oh, right, well.
Which question do you want to do next, Jeff?
Let's do. Let's do the next one after the Chile one, the one we were talking about. So I've basically skipped. We skipped.
So you've gone to question 4. So Carlos, what do you think is the best South American team ever at a tournament?
You mean one team from one tournament?
Yeah.
So I keep my answer the one that. So the thing is, the one that I never saw live is the one from 1970. Yeah, from Brazil. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Then afterwards, I always say I really like a lot how it was playing Argentina 1994 because before this doping from Maradona.
Mm-hmm,
yeah?
mm-hmm.
The defense was not that solid, yeah, but the attack was amazing. You have Redondo, was not attack, but you have in the center midfield Fernando Redondo with Simeone. Then you had Maradona. And I don't know if you remember, but Argentina was playing with Batistuta, Canilla, and Balbo. So Balbo is also a striker. You know, he was not
from
as
Roma.
the number
I know
9.
Abel Balbo from Roma, yeah.
Well, Balbo. I mean, one of my favorite games ever is this Argentina 2, Nigeria 1. I remember when Nigeria scored and I was, no, they will come back. And they managed to come back. So Nigeria was a good team, was not as experienced as it would have been an Italy or other team. But the attack of Argentina could have destroyed any defense. If the defense would have been at the same level, that's other question. We will never know. Yeah. Also because the goalkeeper in that tournament was not as good as he used to be in the Argentinian league. Luis Islas, he didn't play a good tournament. But that Brazil from 1994 was not the most
everyone says that, don't they?
But was very solid, you know. In defense, it was very solid, and you have Romario and Bebeto up front to at least score 1 goal per game. Yeah.
Do you know what I always find funny? Sorry, on that Brazil team, just on that, right? Is halfway through the tournament they stopped playing Rai, didn't they? They went from
he just played
the first few games
in the group stage.
He was captain. He was captain in the group stage, and then Dunga became captain, and they stopped playing him. And I never understood why, and I don't know the full story behind why they went from...
I mean, he never reached his prime with the national team, say it like that, because at the time he was playing at a very high level in PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, but he never showed that in the national team. So it was mainly because of his performance, yeah? Although he was the captain, they put Massinho and so they got results, right? They go to
Yeah. It's interesting.
But then afterwards,
Go on. No, go on.
I was considering Brazil 98. I think they were not that solid in defense, but they have Ronaldo in their prime. You have 2002. Everyone will be impressed due to the trio from Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and Rivaldo. England know that it was enough to score 2-3 goals and beat them. They were not as solid in defense as 1994. Yeah? And that was the last South American team before this Argentina that won the tournament. Therefore, I would say from the ones that I saw, probably the best, not the most impressive, but the most solid and the best one that probably could beat any of the other teams, South American teams at the World Cup in that period, will be Brazil 1994. Dunga and Mauro Silva were rocks there.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Mauro Silva in Deportivo La Coruña? Yeah, he was a rock. He was one of the best, but low profile. Those players that play at very high level for a lot of years, not in the best teams, but are low profile. And Mauro Silva was top class for me at the time.
Do you remember Emerson from Brazil? That in around 2006, Emerson, that type of player as well.
Yes, the one that was play a lot of years in Rome, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he was another type of this player.
Yes, that's exactly what made me think of him when you said that. Interestingly, on Argentina as well, and this kind of touches the question we kind of covered a little bit, but you talk about Argentina last World Cup, how I think that they basically had the final. Basically, they upped their game for the final. Di Maria had the greatest game he's had in about 5 years in that final. And obviously, Messi kind of like carried them a little bit as well. Do you actually think they were the best team at that tournament?
Yeah. Yes.
You do?
For sure. They were the best team with some unlucky moments. Yeah. And although all these unlucky moments, they managed to win the tournament. If we do a recap, Saudi Arabia. There were 5 unlucky minutes where Saudi Arabia scored those 2 goals.
Yeah.
I think they scored 3 goals.
Was it Poland afterwards?
Sorry?
Who did they play after? Who was it? Was it Poland afterwards and then Mexico, or Mexico then
No,
Poland?
Mexico and after was Poland.
Yeah.
But You agree? So they could have beat Saudi Arabia in the way they play. They play again 10 times in the same way they played that day. Argentina win the other 9.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was unlucky. Against Mexico was like a knockout game with pressure that you need to win in the 90 minutes because you don't have penalties. Yeah, you needed to win. And then they managed. They win 2-0 and was not lucky. They were better than Mexico. Yeah. They were better than Mexico. No, that Mexican team is the worst that I have seen in a
They weren't very good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but anyway, was better than Mexico. Then against Poland, they were better too. Chesney even saved that penalty from Messi. And they managed to score 2 goals. They were better than Poland, and although Messi missed that penalty, they recovered from that. Then you have the game against Australia. That was very decent team from Australia. Nothing extraordinary, but very decent team. They beat them against the Netherlands. They were way better than the Netherlands. But the Netherlands scored it. They got like nervous.
Weghorst.
Weghorst.
Weghorst on,
Yeah. They got this goal and they got nervous. And they have this phase when Netherlands managed to score the 2-2. But Argentina was, without doubt, the best team that day. Take these 5 minutes out, They managed to win after what happened. Against Croatia, you have no doubt, 3-0, they were much better. Although people say that there was not a penalty. But anyway, they were better. And against France, they were better until the first goal from France came. They were way better. Would have...
Against France, I think they were good, but I feel like
they were way better than France. Mbappe
definitely
scored a pen. In the extra time, they were not so dominant as in the 90 minutes, but they were better even. But it was not that dominance that you saw during the first 90 minutes. So considering what I say, they were the best team from the tournament.
I think they played their route though, didn't they?
Sorry?
The route they got handed to them, they won it. They done what they needed to do every game. So you could argue they wasn't challenged as maybe harshly as maybe what France did on the way, but they turned up every game and did a job. I don't think. They didn't deserve to be there.
France was also very good. Yeah, they could have lost against England. That's the difference. I think Argentina normally the games that Argentina against Netherlands. Normally, a game that is played like that, Argentina will win 9 out of 10 because it's football and you don't necessarily win every time when you are better. But against France, that was for a 3-0. That was until Mbappe scored that goal, and when you score in the 85 minutes, the 2-1 in a final, it's not anymore about tactics. You just go or Argentina scored a 3-1 or you score the 2-2. That's also part of football. But if you consider that Argentina won in penalties and you ask me, it deserved? Yeah, for sure it deserved it.
I think they had a good final. I just think I know you know they've won other games, but I think they had a good final. I think they played really well in the final. And
against Netherlands, you don't think they play better than them?
They did play better than the Netherlands, but I don't think the Netherlands were that good. That's the thing. I think the Netherlands are okay. I don't think Australia are that good. I don't think Poland or Mexico are
but
that's the thing.
But they were better than the teams that they play against.
Yes.
Who against which team they play is not their fault.
You can because only play
of course. But
which other team could have been better than Argentina or France that tournament?
I would argue that France. I think that France had a bad day on the day of the final. That's my argument. I think France had a bad final. Argentina had a good final.
I will say they play bad because Argentina played too well.
Yes, probably. Because Di Maria was brilliant.
It was not a bad day. That was they play bad because the other team was superior. That's my point of view, because I agree with you. Normally, I think that Argentina were so superior, so better than France that therefore they play so bad. It was not okay. They have a bad night or they have a bad day like you could have, for other reasons. For me, the main reason was that Argentina played a great game. tactically,
Maybe.
everything. But what you say, Ricky, you agree with? You are from the side of Travis,
you're
or
the
more
ref.
from my side?
No. I am on the side. I think Argentina were I think they deserved to win it, and they were a team of the tournament. But then I didn't like that France team. I'm not the biggest fan of Mbappe. I wasn't a fan of Pogba. Had his best tournament, no doubt. He had a great tournament.
No, that was 20. No, not in 2022.
No, that was Euro. Sorry,
2014. He was good.
2014.
Yeah. Euro, not that one. 2022, Pogba wasn't. It wasn't past
Pogba
it by that point.
But no,
he was there, but it was past it. I think.
I just wasn't their hugest fans. I'm on the Argentina side. I think you can only. It's hard to judge them and say did they deserve it more, because they can only play the teams put in front of them. But they did the job every time they played someone, and they won it well. And I think unless Mbappe scores that goal in the 85th minute, then the score line would have looked a lot differently, and you would have been saying they beat them comprehensively in that final as well.
No, that's the thing. I'm not arguing. I think the final, you're absolutely right. I think they played well in the final, but my argument is that I only think they played well in the final, really. And I think the only time, whereas France played well in other games and had to beat tougher teams, is my argument. I think, anyway.
But that's the thing, that they didn't have to play well to beat the other teams, because they didn't play teams of that caliber. Yeah.
Because Travis, you don't play to win a World Cup since this 32 teams thing. You normally don't play more than 2 great teams to win the World Cup. In the worst case, you need to beat 3, but not more than 3. And yeah, I agree that Netherlands was not the best Netherlands, but you have Netherlands. You can count Croatia because they were in the final 4 years before. Although that team they should have lost against Brazil.
They should have lost to Brazil, yeah.
They should have lost against Brazil. But you cannot ask, and they beat France. So you cannot ask for a champion that play more than 2 difficult games. It can happen from time to time that they play against 3 great teams, but not more.
Yeah.
And if you consider you already play France, Croatia, and Netherlands, I think is fair enough, because you say Brazil 2002, it was England and Germany.
Turkey. They played
Turkey.
Germany
You cannot count.
Yeah, Turkey in the semi. No, you're right. Yeah.
Turkey in a semi-final.
Belgium.
You can count that. There was a great team from Turkey, but Brazil must win in a semi-final somehow. So it's like they just have 2 difficult games. If you can put it like that.
Yeah. Okay. Still not having them, but yeah. I'll let you have that. Should we? Let's. We're vastly running out of time, so should we move on to challenge? The challenge.
Challenge the guests. So
sorry.
I've got a couple. I was challenged with coming up with a question for both of you, in terms of going easy, and so I came up with a couple because one was just lighthearted, and I think we should be okay getting. So I'll use this.
So on this, just for context, Carlos. I'm like, as I said, we've toyed with the idea of when we get a guest on here, having them to kind of challenge me on some World Cup trivia. You are almost certainly going to beat me on this.
I like that.
Yeah. You're almost certainly going to beat me on this. So.
Well, the first question, definitely. Well, I don't know. It's
sorry. Is the first that answer, or you ask one and then the other?
I don't know. Ricky's the quizmaster. Are you? What's the rules, Ricky? Tell us.
The first one is, it's just a shout out. Whoever knows the answer first, shout it out. Shout out the answer.
God.
And
pressure.
And then we'll go from there. So, question 1, as I say, warm up question. Which South American player has scored in 3 different World Cups but never played for Brazil and Argentina?
Both done here, haven't they?
Luis Suarez?
They're shouting.
Luis Suarez, right?
No. Yes. No?
2010,
wait.
2014 and 2018.
I don't think he scored in 18.
Yeah, he scored for sure.
He does, in the groups, I think. Wait. While Ricky punches that in, I was like, did Diego Forlan? He scored in 2002 and he scored in 2010, but did he play in another one? I don't think he played in
He
14,
played
did
14 but didn't score.
Well, we've
He
got a
didn't play.
stewards.
He didn't
There's
score.
2 people. So Luis Suarez is one of them.
Okay, you can just
Carlos
tie
has been
with
here
me, Travis.
Go on, who's the other one? I don't know. I give
The-
up.
the-
Carlos is one.
The answer I had was Teofilo Cubillas
No.
for Peru in
He
70,
didn't-
78 and 82.
No, he didn't score in 82. Did he score in
No,
82?
he scored 70. It's 82 he didn't score.
He didn't score in 82. Yeah, he didn't. That's why I thought Cubillas straight away, but then I thought, no, there's no way. Because he scored in 70, definitely, and he scored in 78.
So you
If
tried.
ask ChatGPT for
He
that.
made
We
that
could-
question for me.
Wikipedia has let me down on that one then.
No.
Who did he score against in 82? Who's it saying he scored against? Do you know?
Yeah,
So,
against
I'll go back to the
Italy,
Wikipedia
Ruben
page.
Diaz, and against Poland, Guillermo La Rosa.
There you go, yeah. No, I know that he didn't score in 82.
Because he scored 5 in
He scored
78
10
and
goals.
5 in 70.
Yeah,
10
5
goals
in
the
both
World
tournaments.
Cup. Which South American country was the first to be eliminated from a World Cup despite not losing a single match?
Brazil?
Yeah, I can
No,
complement
no.
the answer. Brazil
checking this.
didn't lose
It's-
a match in 78, although they didn't
Yeah.
win the World Cup.
They didn't lose a match in
lose again.
78, yeah. Because it was only because Peru got beaten by Argentina heavily 6-0 when they needed to lead by 4. Am I
Yes.
right?
Yep, this took me down a rabbit hole because there was one answer kept coming up and I was like, no, because that isn't it because I can see the score. And which question was that? Because Colombia kept coming up in 98. But I
No, they
was
lost
like,
to
no.
England.
They lost to England.
They lost to England in 98.
Yeah, that's why I was like, no. So yeah, it was Brazil. So you both
Brazil.
got
Is that 1-1 then? Does that count as a 1-1?
1-1?
Clutching at straws there.
Let me see. I did have a tie break question.
It all rides on this
Um,
then.
Who was the first South American to score a hat trick at the World Cup?
Guillermo Stabia.
Yes.
Oh,
For Argentina against America in the semi-final.
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It was. It was right.
I'm
And
very
the first-
happy at winning that.
It's actually an American who scored the first ever hat trick, but yeah, later in the tournament.
Yeah,
that was the first as South American against America.
I'm very happy with that. Yes. Yeah. Earlier in the tournament.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Carlos. I'm done.
You
That's
don't
it
have
now.
more questions.
No, I'm going to have to retire undefeated from Challenge Trav.
You'll have to come back.
We'll have to
come back.
I was going to say, we'll have to get you back on. This has been such a, there's so much more we could talk about in this.
Yeah,
We'll
it would
definitely
be
have to
great.
get
I
you
can
back
come
on.
anytime.
And,
that you invite me.
and do another quiz. You're the one person that we've kind of thought about having as a guest that I was like, he's going to beat me in the quiz. Yeah. He's going to beat me in the quiz. Do you know, I will confess this, right? I'm going to confess this. When I said Brazil, which obviously was the right answer, I actually thought of 74. But then they got beaten by the Netherlands in that game where Cruyff does the group match, isn't it? The second group match. So I would have, if I'd have said a year, I would have got it wrong. But the question was actually just which team. So the only reason why I got that right is because I said the name of the team and I got the tournament wrong.
I really thought there was one that lost in penalties. You know, like Switzerland in 2006.
Yes.
Yeah.
They say they didn't lose a game. They lost in penalty. I thought that was the hint of the question. So I was thinking, okay, who lost
Argentina.
in penalties?
Argentina.
Yeah, I mean,
2006,
2006 also they didn't lose. They just lost in penalties.
Yeah.
Because Ricky say who was the first. So I was like, okay, it must be in penalty. Yeah.
There you go. Oh, well.
Amazing.
Guillermo Stabia.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, we're probably we're at the end now of what's been a great chat, and debate will rage long into. Yeah, thanks for coming along. Like I said, debate will rage long into the night about whether Argentina deserved to win in 22, whether they were the best team at the tournament. I'll take that out.
I mean, I am convinced. People just come with the argument they got penalties. Yeah.
No, so I'm not even saying that. I'm not saying that.
You didn't say that, but when you talk with other people,
lots of people say that, yes.
Or argument, but I don't hear no one when I discuss, I have a German friend here that hates Argentina, and he always comes with that. And when I say, but against Croatia, 3-0, but the first penalty was not a penalty. Okay, but it was 3-0. It was not 1-0 to 1, was 3-0.
Convincing.
Yeah, but they got demotivated. It's like, yeah, so it's like, it can be at some point true, but you cannot use that excuse. I mean,
yeah.
It was the
Agreed.
1-0. You need to be able to come back from one goal. If they were having 3 penalties, okay, yeah, but well.
Agreed.
Okay.
Thank well, you. I said thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Been brilliant.
That's been great.
So, until the next time.
Thank you.
Hey, Ricky. So, Travis.
Take care.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.